Hi, today I wanted to talk to you about a regular request we get from our clients where they have navigated to a website or they've tried to use a service that they use on a regular basis, but today, for whatever reason, they can't use it. Either the website doesn't look like it's working or the service hasn't got the right services available, or they can't log in, or there's some other weird issue that they're having when they're trying to log into the service. So one of the questions around that is, well, how do you know where the problem is? Is the problem on my computer? Is there something wrong with my hardware? Is there something wrong with my software? Do I just have my credentials wrong? Is it something to do with me that I'm doing wrong? Or is the problem actually on the website's end or on the service end, where it's nothing to do with me, it's just that their service is down for whatever reason? So one of the ways that we try and solve that problem is a really easy check that we can do. So I'll show you what we do. I will share my screen here to a site called Down Detector.nz. Now, Down Detector is an international website, even though it's taken us to a New Zealand site. You can see here it's all across the world. And what Down Detector does is it looks for reports of outages for particular services, and it does this internationally. So it looks at social media, it looks at forums, it looks at a really wide variety of sources of information that will tell you whether a service is having an outage or not. Now, one of the reasons that this website was created was because when there's an outage actually happens, often there's a delay between finding out that there's an outage on a service and being able to let customers know that there's an outage. So it's often a little bit of a delay. So if you're one of the first in and you've just realized, then like, how do you know that there's actually an outage? The service themselves might not yet know. So the way to get around that is to actually find across the world who's complaining that outages might be an issue, and if there's a big spike in complaints, then probably the issue is on the service end. So if we scroll down this website here, you can see that there are many services, and you can see each one of these grids has a service included in it. It will tell you for each of these services, tell you with the graph down the bottom, how many complaints are being in around the world for these complaints. So we'll have a wee look at one of these. We'll have a look at Netflix. You can see there's quite a few complaints sort of on a regular basis, though they've determined that there's a normal amount of complaints. You see everyone, there's always someone having trouble with it, but it doesn't necessarily mean there's an issue with Netflix specifically. It's just that maybe they've put their password in wrong, or who knows what the trouble was, but it's on the user end. So there's no, if there was a big spike, for instance, in one of these, maybe the spike would go, all the way to the top of the graph. That would be an indicator that there's something going on. Lots and lots of people are indicating that they're having an issue with the outage for what reason or another. And so that's a good, clear indication that the issue is not on your end, and really the only thing you can do is just relax and wait for the outage to finish. There's really no things that you can do particularly, although you can use this website to put an outage report in yourself if you want to include your issue in with everybody else's. Have a problem with Netflix, for instance, you click the button and then you can, it walks you through what type of issue you might have. So if you think, in fact, that actually there's a problem on their end, but as you can see, that does most services. If we go back to this first screen. Most services have sort of a background noise of issues. You can see here with the ring, there was a very small spike and then sort of background noise. And so these spikes don't necessarily mean there's an issue, just that there's, you know, a fairly regular amount of complaints of being able to access the service or whatever. Services like Gmail, for instance, have so many people accessing it all the time. You're always going to get a sort of a baseline of issues. Here's an interesting one, looks a bit different from the others. Reddit gets no complaints, and then let's have a wee look and see. It will actually tell us on the graph how many complaints there were. So Reddit doesn't suggest there are complaints, but at 12 p.m. today, there were, what's that? At the worst, 128 reports at one point came in to report there was a problem with Reddit. So perhaps there was a small outage at this point. Obviously, it's been rectified pretty quickly. And you can see here that the most reported problems were around their app, and then secondly to their website. 41% of complaints were around their website. They do have a map, but I have noticed the maps don't always load very well. So we'll see if this one looks like it might be loading. So you can see there's a little faint blue dot around Christchurch, Wellington and Auckland. So that's where most of the outages were. Down on the very, very light blue one around Dunedin. So there was a few people certainly having some trouble around their outage. So it all seems to be back to normal now. So this this website is particularly good if you want to do a check first. You can do a search if the service that you are wanting to check up on isn't on this list. Although these are the sort of the most common services that most people want to check out. So go ahead and have a look, and yeah, good luck. If you still can't get on, obviously, give us a call.